Hey folks, Ryan Gunness here with MLM Recruit On Demand. And yesterday I sent out an email called How Good Are You at Handling the Big Moment? Got some email responses, some questions from people and whatnot to go a little bit deeper. And, most people, were not familiar with me sending out long written emails. So, most of the times you watch, a little video that I create or whatnot. So I figured, hey, rather than recreate anything here, I'm just going to kind of go through some of the things that I talked about in that email and maybe expand on it a little bit further. So in the email, I say, hey, when it comes to inviting prospects to take a look at your business, are you saying and doing the right things that can maximize your chances of success? Or are you blowing it, by not even maybe making any calls at all? Okay, or no prospecting, and a lot of times the reason why people don't prospect or don't make any phone calls is because they don't really have the confidence that they have their invitation skills down pack. Okay, and my answer to that is, you really learn by doing. So you really have to make a decision. Hey, I'm gonna go make a few hundred calls just to get good at this. Okay, and it may be painful to make those calls, knowing that you're gonna be fumbling a little bit in the beginning. And a lot of times, and I know I felt guilty, of this in the beginning. I had this conversation with myself that when I get really, really good at the conversation, then I'll start making calls. And what I found is that you actually start making calls and you get really, really good while you're going through that process. Just like anything else, whether it's, learning to swim or ride a bike or whatever it is, that's really foreign if you never did it before. The only way you could really learn that is by doing it and trial and error, and you get better and better along the way. All right, so that's my comment to that. Now, here's a little comment that I had from a MLM Rod member, and I kind of covered this in the email, but basically I had a member said, hey, I called one of the leads in my back office last week, and they said yes to looking at my business. Now it's been a few days, and I have called and emailed them a few times, and they are not returning my calls or emails. I don't get it. They seem to be so interested when we first spoke. What am I doing wrong here? Okay, so member, got somebody that's said that they're open, and and now it's been a few days. Try to call them a few times, email them, no response. Okay, now, I have my little comments here. Basically, anytime a prospect blows you off, they're not returning your calls, your emails or whatever you're doing. There's basically really, two things I can guarantee. It's not a computer glitch, so it's not something going on with your computer and they're trying to contact you and you're just not receiving it. Okay, and there's really nothing you could really do to fix that situation, and it's really not productive to spend a lot of energy trying to fix that situation. Okay, and it could be a couple of things, and I'll go a little bit deeper in this video. One is when you're using the script and you're calling prospects and you get somebody that says, hey, I'm open to taking a look. How you set up that conversation, and I have it in the advanced part of the script, is very, very key. The goal of the conversation is to get them to agree to at least, receiving an email with some more information to learn about your business. Okay, that's all they're really agreeing to. Now, in the advanced part of the script, I show you how to set an appointment, a follow-up appointment. This is very, very important. So an example, let's say, I spoke to John, and John said, yeah, I'll take a look at what you have. And I get his email address, and I say, hey, John, I'm going to be sending this out, from my email address here, and I can let him know what that email address is, and the subject line is going to be per our conversation. So it's easy for him to find it. Okay, and I'll let him know, hey, in that email, there's going to be a link to a short video. It's about 12 minutes, and it'll kind of give you a quick overview of who we are, what we do, and how this works. Okay, so if I was to send you this email right now, when would you have a chance to take a look at it? Okay, and the way I'm saying it right now is the way I say it. Okay, so it's really, really clear, and it allows that person to think and say, well, I could look at it later on tonight, or I could look at it tomorrow. Now they know what they're committing to. They're committing to receiving an email from you, and there's going to be a link And in my case, in my example here, it's going to be a link to a video that's 12 minutes. So they know very, very clear what they're committing to, and they could come back and say, I could look at it tonight, I could look at it tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, whatever the case may be, and then I can respond and say, hey, no problem. So if I called you, if he said, John said, I can look at it later on tonight, and I say, hey, no problem, John. If I called you, first thing in the morning, would you have looked at it for sure? He can think and say, yeah, I could look at it for sure. I'll definitely look at it for sure. Or he could change his mind. He could say, actually, I might be a little bit tired later on tonight, but definitely I could look at it in the morning if I don't look at it tonight. And then I could say, hey, no problem. So if I called you sometime tomorrow afternoon, you would have looked at it for sure. And John says, yes. And I say, hey, great. Let's do this to save a little bit of time here. Let's go ahead and set up an appointment for tomorrow afternoon to get back on the phone for about 10-15 minutes. Can answer any questions that you have. And if for any reason at all, if you don't have an interest in going forward or learning more, just reply to my email so we don't have to waste an appointment. So that's really, really clear. John says, yeah, no problem, that's fine. We set the appointment. And you can look at the advanced, version of the script. You'll be able to see this all in written format, so that you don't have to feel like you have to write this down really fast as I say it. And that really sets the stage. It sets the stage, so that that person that's agreeing to take a look at your business there's a real appointment. So they kind of have to look at that information that you're sending them, okay? And there's an easy way for them to just reply to you and let you know that, they don't have an interest if something, doesn't line up with them. So you're not tying up any time. So I find when you do that, you get more people to at least respond to you and say, hey, this is not my cup of tea, no big deal. You're getting some engagement there, but you're getting eyeballs on your presentation. And that's really what you want to do. So that's the piece that you want to tighten up. Okay. Now, if I don't get an email from John and I call him, I'll set appointment time, and he doesn't return my call, I rarely would make another call after that. This is me personally. Some people say, you keep following up, and if you have nothing else going on, great, do that. Okay, but rarely, if I might shoot him back an email too. So if I call and John doesn't show up for his appointment, and I send him an email and I say, hey, I don't know if you need to reschedule or at least give me some feedback if this is something you want to talk about further. And that's it. If I don't get a response at that point, I'm done. Okay, because I don't have a shortage of people to talk to. You can go into the back office. There's, unlimited leads for life program, so there's no excuses. You have a lot of leads. And then if you're in the P3 program, you got the incoming calls coming in, so you're never going to be out of people to talk to. All right. So that's kind of me going into this a little bit deeper. Now, I also talk about disqualifiers. Okay, and I'm looking for disqualifiers. So in my example, if John sets an appointment, if we set an appointment together, he doesn't show up, he doesn't email me back, I email him, that's a disqualifier for me. That means he does not have the courtesy, at least telling me, hey, this is not something that I want to investigate further. And that's one of the reasons why I probably wouldn't call him back again. Okay. So you gotta have your disqualifiers to look for. Another one that I talk about here is if you're using if you're making calls and you're leaving this message, hey, I came across one of your sites, I got a quick question message, and someone calls you back and it goes to your voicemail, and they don't seem to have much energy in their voice, so for me personally, if somebody calls me back and they sound like they half asleep, leaving me a message, a lot of times I don't call them back, because this is a peak interest question. I came across one of your sites, I got a quick question. For a person returning this call, they don't know. They don't know if I'm a prospect for them. They don't really know much about the situation here. So they should be putting at least a good foot forward. They're going to leave me a voice message. It should sound very, clear. It should sound like, hey, Ryan, got your message here. I'm not really sure what you're talking about, but would love to chat. Give me a buzz, blah, 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 blah. It should sound like, there's some intention in their voice. because I'm looking for high energy people. It takes energy and discipline to build a business. So if somebody is not exerting a little bit of energy, then chances are for me, I feel like it's going to be a waste of time. Okay, you got to come up with your own ones. In the early stages of my business, I was probably a little bit looser on this because I felt a little bit like I needed everybody. Okay, but if you really get the concept that you have unlimited leads, especially with what we teach with MLM Recruit On Demand, then that should go away quickly. You should realize, whoa, I don't have a shortage of leads. I need to be more selective, and that posture is going to make you more attractive. All right, so that this completes this video here. I hope this kind of helps if you were looking at this email and you needed some more details. I hope this video kind of helps sort out that for you. All right, so happy prospecting to you, and I'll catch you on another video.